resulted in the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism being able to download the whole spiritual alchemy science directly from Lord Subramanya as a gift to share with the whole world. So despite being the inheritor of so many kingdoms, as we've seen earlier, and despite his continuous efforts to share the sacred alchemy science with the whole world, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been heavily persecuted for over the past decade. There has been over 70 assassination attempts and physical attacks on him in India and abroad. Over 40 attacks on community members, destruction of monasteries, temples, and over 60 incidents of attacks, molestation and rape of women and women monks. There have been intense lawfare on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism via over 100 false legal cases, and so on.
So the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa. Kailasa is the ancient enlightened Hindu civilization. It is not a competition for India, Nepal, Bali, Cambodia, or any other country. Kailasa is only complementing. It is a seed bank for Hinduism. The vision of Kailasa is living enlightenment for all of humanity. The mission is to revive, share with today's world the practical applications of the greater sciences of authentic Hinduism, including Hindu cosmic physics, alchemy, cosmology, Hindu biology, Hindu mathematics, power manifestation, and various other sciences as revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. These sciences were once practiced freely in over 56 nations across the continent, but are now facing extinction due to persecution over a millennium. Kailasa has created several thousands of enlightened ecosystems around the world and is supporting 2 billion Hindus worldwide. The enlightened ecosystems of Kailasa around the world house Hindu-like universities, gurukuls, with the authentic Hindu education system, temples, temple monastery complexes, food banks, and much, much more, which are de facto spiritual embassies for the nation of Sri Kailasa. Kailasa has sovereign territory in more than one place and home country agreements with many countries where Kailasa will be having its embassies. In its sovereign territory, Kailasa has its own Supreme Court. It is also successful in achieving civil court status in 3 countries. Kailasa has the license to run banks in more than 27 places. In 6 countries, Kailasa's currency has been accepted as mainstream currency, and in 2 or more countries, Kailasa's currency is accepted as private currency. In 30 countries, Kailasa can run the Nithyananda Hindu University. Kailasa has also developed an independent sea route and air route that stitch the various sovereign places of land of Kailasa. So what are we doing to revive and preserve the ancient spiritual alchemy science for world peace? As the direct inheritor and protector of the ancient sciences of Hinduism, the SPH founded several Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations initiatives to unite nations for world peace and a sustainable future. SKUN, the humanitarian initiatives founded by the SPH to spread the greater spiritual truths of Hinduism from its age-old scriptures, the Vedagamas, all over the world. For instance, Hinduism is a totality of over 10,000 indigenous traditions and nations. Through the SKUN, the SPH is working to revive all these traditions. The urgency to revive the ancient sacred sciences of Hinduism. The sacred spiritual alchemy science is the solution to many problems that the modern world is facing: depression, suicide, consumption of alcohol and drugs, amongst other things. According to the World Health Organization, depression or suicide, consumption of alcohol, they have resulted in so many deaths, millions of deaths across the world. The SPH's efforts are directly aligned to SDG 2030 as declared by the UN for good health and well-being of all. In September 2015, mental health was included in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In this historic step, the United Nations acknowledges the burden of mental illness and define mental health as a priority for global development for the next 15 years. The urgency to revive ancient sacred sciences of Hinduism, the effect of alchemy on neurology. Alchemy is the science of preparing the chemistry to hold the higher frequencies of consciousness that occur through initiation. They can be made permanent, the experiences and the powers are made permanent neurological, physiological, psychological, physical experiences in you through these alchemy products. Alchemy science can make the vessel, your body and mind, capable of receiving and holding the ultimate enlightenment forever. This is from the SPH Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam.
And to share the alchemy science with the whole world, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism personally conducted world conferences to initiate the whole world into the sacred spiritual alchemy science. And such conferences included Shivoham in Cambodia, Nithyanandoham in Thailand, Sadashivoham and Mahasannidhanam in India, and Paramashivam level 1 and 2 in India and online. These conferences were attended by thousands of people from all over the world. Through these conferences, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism gifted the sacred alchemy products such as the Jnananjana, which is an alchemy product described elaborately in the Agamas to make you experience the awakening of all three eyes and manifest the powers of Sadashiva. The Krishna Shila, which is a stone slab alchemy product, which even combined with recitation of specific mantras, raises one's frequency and reveals the secrets of the universe. The Ulurvi Puja, which is an ancient sacred ritual involving the use of specific herbs programmed with the biomemory and muscle memory and bioenergy, which is required for enlightenment. The Chidambara Chakra, the geometric cosmic energy centers holding the cosmic DNA, the inner space of Paramashiva. The Paramashiva Garbha, which is a product that literally contains Lord Paramashiva in the powder form prepared by mixing many sacred materials like bhasma, kumkum, turmeric, and haritaki. And to acknowledge, to honor the contributions of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, 7 cities and 1 state across 6 countries, including United States of America, Uganda, Belize, Tanzania, Palau, Ethiopia, has established bilateral relations with Sri Kailasa. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has received 115 proclamations and certificates of recognitions from politicians across 12 countries, and 36 cities across 4 countries have declared January 3rd, 2022, the incarnation day of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as Kailasa's SPH Nithyananda Day. And as we can see here, these are some of the certificates conferred to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from the United States, across the various states of the United States. as well as from Tanzania and Belize. So just like how Lord Subramanya transformed the attack done to him as a brand for himself after his victory over the evil forces, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, in spite of the relentless persecution against him, has successfully revived Kailasa, the ancient enlightened civilizational nation and the only Hindu nation through which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is protecting these most ancient spiritual sciences and its most sacred secrets, making it available for the whole world and initiating millions. So now let's get ready to receive the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, JagatGuru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Please do stay back. After the live discourse, we have special announcements to share with you all. Thank you, Nithyanandam.
Just be. Deng Jesus Mading, Parliament member representing Jangle and chairperson of South Sudan Young Parliamentarian Caucus, South Sudan. I welcome you. We are honored by your presence. Mr. R.N. Hawker, Director of Migration Investments, representative of Turkey. Mr. Philip P. Reklai, Senator and representative of Palau, President of Reklai Associates. Thank you for being here. Haji Sainul Sarafat, President of Anjuman Zunat-ul Jamaat Association, representative of Trinidad and Tobago. Right Reverend Dr. Joseph, Head of the Lutheran Church Malawi. Datuk Dr. Lokabalan Mohan, Deputy Minister of Federal Territories representing Malaysia. Mr. Gurpreet Singh, President of Punjab Organization representing Malaysia. And there's a long list of guests who are here. I sincerely thank every one of you for being here. We are honored by your presence. Thank you once again. And I also welcome all the ambassadors, ministers, representatives of Kailasa, Vidyeshwaras, Ganeshwaras, Lokeshwaras, Astreshwaras. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. We are honored by all of you. Paramashiva's message directly from Kailasa. On this auspicious occasion, celebration, global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity and peace and courage, Thaipusam, organized by Kailasa, Uniting Nations for Indigenous Traditions and Tribes. Message from Paramashiva directly is, let us strengthen the grassroots of our conscious lifestyle to live consciously successful life on planet Earth. Please understand, the worst crisis humanity is going through is largest population ever on the planet Earth feels uprooted. Please understand. Never ever world faced this conscious pandemic. I'm not talking about corona. I'm talking about largest population, more than 70% of the human population feels they are uprooted. They have no roots. Consciously feel their life has no purpose. I tell you, the greatest problem humanity is facing now is not just pandemic, corona, or global warming. All this we can handle too easily if we are consciously strong. If human beings are consciously strong, handling corona, global warming, other problems are too easy. But unfortunately, more than 70% of the humanity, please understand when I am saying these words, 70%, after thorough research, studying the scientific researches, analysis done by multiple universities which are working on various human societies, ethnic cultures. After thoroughly studying all of that, I am making this statement. More than 70% of the humanity feels consciously uprooted. The feeling of belongingness is stolen away. That's one of the fundamental flaw, I should say. The fundamental right to all human beings is feeling conscious belongingness, feeling grounded, feeling fulfilled with their life. Unfortunately, the political ideologies which are extremely exploitative, religious ideologies which are extremist, the militant missionaries and missionary militants, crony capitalism, deadly combination of all these three. Crony capitalism, extremist religious ideologies, and extremely exploitative, oppressive political ideologies and decision makers. The deadly combination of these three has made more than 70% of the human beings consciously uprooted. The biggest problem humanity is facing now is conscious pandemic. Feeling purposeless. The definition of life is not convincing, satisfying. Please understand, 50% of the middle class people are dropping from regular jobs. Regular jobs are not going to be any more normal lifestyle. The new normal is not going to have a regular clerical, industrial, working population. This is one of the major revolution happening all over the world. Nobody is waking up to it. And 20% of the population just want to move away from the grid. Not just from job. They just don't want the human civilization. They are moving into the forests, remote villages. They don't want all the comforts, luxuries the modern day civilization is providing, because they feel it's a too costly exchange. The 20% do not know the solution, but one thing they became very clear: they don't want the modern civilization anymore. Understand? I am not against science, modern civilization. I am not against any of it. But the crony capitalists, extremist religious ideologies like militant missionaries and missionary militants, and absolute oppressive, sadist, autocratic, power-hungry political decision makers, deadly combination of these three is making people lose their roots. I call this as a conscious pandemic, which is more serious problem than global warming or corona, the global pandemic which we are going through. Please understand, this conscious pandemic of feeling uprooted, feeling displaced, is imploding human society from inside. No amount of painkillers, depression medications, psychiatric drugs is going to help these root problems of humanity. No amount of addiction, illegal drugs is going to help the humanity to find solution. All the decision makers all over the world, if you are a decision maker in the political field, religious field, media, or entertainment field, Hollywood, Bollywood, Gollywood, Sandalwood, or social media influencer, if you are influencing the society in any form, I request all of you sincerely, please wake up to this truth. We are having conscious pandemic all over the world. The only solution is strengthening our indigenous lifestyle consciously. Let's go back to our way of eating. Each part of the world, country, had their way of diet before this multinational companies started dumping food-like products in the name of food into our stomach and make our body as their source for income. Understand, a patient cured is a client lost for big pharmas. They are not going to think for your health. It is very open. It's a business for them. So why will they think they are not charitable organization? They are not compassion-centric ideology organization. They are declared for-profit companies. Why don't we wake up? The big pharmas are going to only work for their profit. For them, your body is an income source. Why don't we wake up to the simple truth and drop the blind spot with which we are pushing our life, and masses, billions of human beings into irreversible physical, mental, psychological, emotional damages we are collectively causing. Please understand. Crony capitalism in the field of pharma, in the field of food, is not only extremely dangerous, it is causing irreversible damage to the human bodies, minds, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. We are leaving the worst kind of body-mind structure for our next generation. Please understand. In multi-level stealing the conscious indigenous life from the people, whether the indigenous Hindu traditions are stolen away, destroyed from the Hindus living in remote villages of Nepal, India, Malaysia, or the indigenous homegrown family lifestyle of worshipping Voodoos, the Voodoo traditions being stolen away, robbed, forcibly taken away from the African indigenous tribes. All these are the crimes against humanity. Please understand, whether a Munishwaran temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Tamil Nadu, or Mariamman temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Malaysia, or the village Hindu tribes getting brainwashed and forcibly getting converted in Nepal, or the indigenous African tribes and traditions is getting wiped off in the name of modernization, and they losing their voodoo traditions and converting losing their conscious roots and being consciously manipulated, bullied, exploited by missionary militants and militant missionaries. All these are causing conscious pandemic for human beings. The deadly combination of these three all over the world is causing chaos. It is time consciously we the people, we the humanity reclaim our indigenous lifestyle traditions consciously. Modernization does not mean getting brainwashed and losing your conscious roots by this deadly combination of crony capitalist autocratic political decision makers extremely misinforming, brainwashing mainstream media and militant missionaries and missionary militant religious political ideologies. Common man follows science, science follows simply obediently the large powerful media and pharma mafia. Even in this global pandemic corona, common man follows science. Common man is controlled by science and science is controlled by big pharmas. Big pharmas have evolved more like a modern day mafia than solution for the problems of humanity. It is time we the people, we the human beings, we the conscious beings wake up and not allow ourselves to get silenced by those powerful forces trying to silence us. We should get back to our conscious roots, our conscious lifestyle, our own conscious introduction about ourselves, the way we deal our body, our mind, our pleasures, our pains, our relationships, the concept of economy, concept of currency, concept of money, concept of social structure. In every level, it is time we get back to our roots consciously, not allow these crony capitalists and crony capitalists supported militant missionaries and missionary militants. Get to our conscious roots. We are made to eat something food-like product in the name of food, plastic food, which makes us not only sick, alters our body and mind once and for all to be a client for pharmaceutical industry. Big pharma mafias, and we continue to earn, live just to make big pharmas richer and richer and richer. Patient cured is a client lost is their ideology. And common mass, billions of people are just being treated as the clients, not as patients. Non-violence, conscious coexistence need to enter into all our thought currents, the way of living, in our business decisions, social understandings, the way we influence ourselves and the people around us and the world. Please understand, 70% of the world population is imploding. Consciously feel uprooted, displaced. This conscious pandemic really need to be taken very seriously. Efforts to correct the course correction should start now. Kailasa is all about conscious course correction. We are not interested in who committed the crime. We are only interested in waking up the human beings that the crime has been committed on them and move them away from the sufferings and make them consciously grounded again. Feel fulfilled again. Feel this home, planet Earth, the only home we human beings have. We have some more guests joining. Honorable Jose Miguel Benitez, the Mayor of Guatemala Zone, representing Guatemala. Thank you for being here. All over the world, in the name of globalization, our indigenous roots are consciously getting destroyed. It is time we revive the conscious-centric civilization. conscious-centric lifestyle. Conscious-centric. Life solutions, we human beings need to revisit all the ideas about what is money, what is currency, what is crime, who should be put in prison, who should be rewarded, awarded, what is science. All these definitions need to be revisited consciously. What is human body? What is human mind? What is human being? What is the meaning of health? What is the definition of consciously feeling fulfilled? What is the definition of peace? What is the definition of love? What is the definition of joy? All this need to be redefined, revisited consciously. At least last 200 years. Heavy damage is done. I'm not talking just about India or Sri Lanka, Nepal, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan. No, I'm talking about the whole world, Africa. The whole suffering human beings going through in Afghanistan is they accepted the ideology which dictates them, brainwashes them to kill people if they have a different opinions. Instead of handling the logic with the logic, when sword is used to cut the head, if there is an idea in somebody's head and you have better idea, try to share your idea. But just because the other person has different idea in his head, just cutting his head is not going to solve the problem. But unfortunately, when you accept those ideologies, once you start killing anyone, once you complete the killing of the people whom you think as ideologically different outsiders, you start killing within yourself, because the habit of killing by then becomes part of your lifestyle. You can't do anything, you don't know anything else other than either you kill or get killed. The militant missionary ideologies are causing millions of people getting even physically uprooted, making them refugees. And then missionary militants, conversion, religious conversion for the sake of political motives, the mass conversion is terrorism. We human beings need to know an individual for the sake of conscious reason changing his ideologies due to conscious evolution is absolutely okay. That's a freedom. But mass conversion with a political ideology heavily funded externally is a terrorism. It's a violence. Just like gun terrorism, gun violence, humanity should wake up and realize conversion terrorism and conversion violence. Gun violence kills only in thousands. Conversion violence kills in millions. We Hindus, who are the victims of militant missionaries and missionary militants, have to wake up to tell the truth to the world. We need to start somewhere. We should make the world understand. Stop this consciously uprooting people. By terrorizing us with the militant missionaries, missionary militants, and
நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா, ஆறு படைக்கப்பா, ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா. நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா. அறுபடை சக்தி ஒருமுக நித்தியனின் திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம். நித்யா திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம். நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம். நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம். ஆறு படைக்கப்பா, ஓம் ஆறு.
We human beings need to reclaim our conscious-centric, indigenous lifestyles we should free ourselves from currency-centric, profit-motivated, profit-centric food, drink, food, medicine, life, in the name of psychology, psychiatry, and in the name of mental health, and the false ideas about the currency being taught to us, false ideas about wealth being taught to us, the false ideas about religion, life being taught to us. Let's free ourselves from all this and consciously get back to our indigenous traditions, our
மலையே ஆறுபடை கப்பா கேட்டால் தருவாய் வந்தால் அருள்வாய் நித்யபுரி நித்யா நித்யா நித்யபுரி நித்யா நித்யன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் நித்யன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் ஆறுபடை கப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை கப்பா நித்யன் வாழும் நித்யபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை கப்பா ஆறுபடை கப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை கப்பா நித்யன் வாழும் நித்யபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை கப்பா
my sincere request to all the decision makers, social influencers who are here. Let's wake up to this conscious pandemic humanity is going through. Let's start now. Let's do something now. Let's get back to food style, lifestyle, medicines, everything our ancestors gave us consciously. Understand? In that conscious lifestyle, if we need to do some evolution, let us evolve consciously in that very lifestyle and stop discarding that whole conscious lifestyle of our indigenous traditions. Conscious indigenous traditions and the conscious lifestyle is the solution for all the conscious pandemic human beings are going through all over the world. Thank you for being here. Maybe in further satsangs, I'll reveal more and more the solution from conscious enlightened civilization, ancient civilization of the humanity, Hindu tradition. Kailasa is all about reviving the ancient, enlightened, conscious-centric, indigenous traditions. Hinduism is just nothing but the collection of around 10,000 indigenous traditions, indigenous lifestyles. We are not like modern day organized religions. We are not enforced cookie cutter solutions. We see human beings as conscious beings, not as source for money, not as source for power, not as source for anything. We see human beings as conscious living beings. Non-violence is the foundation of Hinduism and the foundation of Kailasa's constitution. Let's get back to our conscious indigenous traditions. Liberate ourselves from this huge conscious pandemic and help the humanity to free themselves from this conscious pandemic. That's all is my request to all the decision makers who are here from various walks of life. Thank you all. With this, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam Paramadvaitam. The state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailasa, Maha Kailasa of Paramashiva, Paramashivoham, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. The eternal bliss Nithyananda Thank you. Be blissful.
அப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை அப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை அப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஆறுபடை சக்தியின் ஒருமுக நித்தியனின் திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்யா திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை அப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஆறுபடை அப்பா ஓம் ஆறுபடை அப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறுபடை அப்பா
Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself. The moment you decide, your
Dear esteemed guests and viewers worldwide, on behalf of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, we thank each and every one of you for taking your valuable time in joining the global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity, peace, courage, Thaipusam, with Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations for Indigenous Traditions and Tribes. We are pleased and honored to invite you next to Kailasa's webinar on the groundbreaking revelation on the mysteries of the universe on January 22nd at 7:30 a.m. IST or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Kailasa's Kalpataru, the Manifest Your Reality program on January 22nd is also happening at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The program is being hosted by the Kailasa, Los Angeles. Our next event is being organized and hosted by Kailasa, Canada on the occasion of Tamil Heritage Month on January 29 from 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or that is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. On March 1st, Kailasa and Hindus worldwide will be celebrating Paramashivaratri. On this occasion, Kailasa Uniting Nations for Global Peace and Conflict Resolution is inviting you all to the grand auspicious Paramashivaratri celebrations. On this auspicious night of Paramashivaratri, an explosion of superconsciousness energy happens on planet Earth to remove the darkness of ignorance and give enlightenment to the whole cosmos, to the humanity, creating a more peaceful, blissful, and united world. We cordially invite you to join us on March 1st from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And finally, we have, after 3 years, the most awaited program, Paramashivoham Level 3, to manifest the deeper experience of the 25 states of consciousness, the vertical time zones, and power manifestation. The 21-day intense program will start on February 19 and continue till March 11. Please visit the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's official Facebook page to register for the upcoming programs. Once again, thank you all for joining us. We extend our heartfelt gratitude and our best wishes to all of you for a peaceful and prosperous year. Thank you, Nithyanandam.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava.
Nithyanandam, Jnanapatati Manual, under the guidance of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, JagatGuru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let's start with the Sadguru Vandanam. Nithyanandam Paramasukhanam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadusham Tattvamasya Lakshmam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Let's go through the disclaimers. Security measures. No photography, video, audio recording. Important cautions. Please be aware of the important cautions. what is power manifestation? Let's hear from Bhagwan himself explaining what is power manifestation.
All the 25 states of consciousness, when they happen in you, due to your chemicals and hormones, ups and downs, it is powerlessness. When it happens in you, out of your free will and consciousness, it is powerfulness. That's all. When you fall into sleep, it is powerlessness. When you enter into sleep, it is powerfulness. When you fall into dream, it is powerlessness. When you decide to dream, it is powerfulness. So I have added the ultimate powerfulness, Turiyatita, in your whole being and doing, manifest all the powers. Understand, power manifestation is nothing but cognitive shift. It is not work. It is cognitive shift. Understand? It is just cognitive shift. It's not work. Work is a 4-letter word. Power manifestation is cognitive shift, playing with life, playing with being alive. Static matter, dynamic activity, strategic existence, all these three has no boundary. You are one with it. You are alive in everything. Everything listens to you. Everything decides as you want.
Beautifully, Bhagavan explained what is power manifestation. Everything deciding what you want, becoming the kalpatru of your life, becoming the new species, and manifesting all your desires into reality. It's a science because millions have experienced that, and each one of us can experience right now. Science of power manifestation is authentic, time-tested, scientific, and foolproof. All the pramanas, the evidences, give us the cognitive shift from what we understand as mind, the self-doubt, self-denial, self-hatred. Beyond that, there exists a space. Paramashiva is real. Consciousness is real. And we can experience that as our own reality in the physical reality. The Shastra Pramana, the eternal, unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures as Vedas and Agamas. Apta Pramana, the experience and the results of Aptas. Aptas are rishis, munis, ganas, Nyanamars, alvars, siddhas, yoginis, bhairavas, even emperors, grahasthas. All of them manifested all the powers of Paramashiva. Millions of them were authority of Hinduism who manifested all the powers of Paramashiva, which is authentic, time-tested, scientific, and foolproof. Atma Pramana, account of His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, this millennium's avatar's personal experience of power manifestation, Bhagavan's very own Leela to showcase to the world how the cognitive shift can raise you to the vertical time zone, manifesting the different possibilities of human experiencing in this physical body in the Bhuloka as the ultimate space and ultimate possibilities. Shakshi Pramana, the experience of millions of disciple, devotees, followers all around the world, initiated by Bhagavan into the science of power manifestation. Bhagavan beautifully says how we can experience the oneness when we are in Kailash Courtyard. It's like a Garbha Mandir, and simply Bhagavan is more real than all of us, waiting to manifest in each one of us all the abundance, auspiciousness, bliss, and every one of us experiencing the ultimate space of Paramashiva when we are in oneness with Paramashiva. Pratyaksha Pramana, the scientific study measuring the effect of being in an enlightened state. What happens to our brain when we do these power manifestation? It is clearly documented in Avatar Shastra how our brain goes into the thoughtless space, and not just that, the prefrontal cortex, which is the command center, conscious center, which becomes very, very highlighted and which starts functioning at its peak possibility, manifesting all the discoveries, inventions, attracting abundance, auspiciousness, bliss, and healing, and giving us a breakthrough in our life. All these workshops that Bhagavan is giving us might look very simple, but it is profound, and it is manifesting all our desire into reality. Let's go to the Shastra Pramana for the power of Sarvanyatva. Sarvanyatva, all-knowing in its all fullness, is taken from Sarvanyatma Agama, verse 15.
Shastra Pramana. Shastra Pramana are eternal, unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures.
Memory from the Sarvognyanottara Agama, verse 15. एवमेकात्मभावेन संस्थितस्य तु योगिनः सर्वज्ञत्वं प्रवर्तेत विकल्परहितस्य तु एवमेकात्मभावेन संस्थितस्य तु योगिनः सर्वज्ञत्वं प्रवर्तेत विकल्परहितस्य तु.
Bhagavan Paramashiva beautifully translates, within such a yogi who established himself in absolute non-dual oneness with Lord Shiva and keeps himself free from all sorts of differentiating notions, the exalted supreme power of all-knowing Sarvanyatvam gets unfolded in all its fullness. Bhagavan Paramashiva has given us beautifully in this sutra how we can manifest the power of all-knowingness. Bhagavan beautifully describes how when he was a child and he was asked by his friends that, do you know everything? And Bhagavan goes and says, yes, I know everything. And then they said, okay, we'll have a challenge of 5 rupees. And 5 rupees is like $500 today. And he said, like, okay, tomorrow we'll ask you questions. You should have answers. And Bhagavan runs to Kuppammal and asks her, what do I do? And she simply says, his guru says that you go ahead and answer whatever they ask. That's all. And he goes and they ask so many questions and he's answering everything. And then there was a boy who challenged Bhagavan, who said that there is a temple in the Arunachala hill, which usually very rarely people go, and that temple is known for the Muruga deity, and everybody knows that as a Muruga temple. And because the Garbhamandir, the Muruga deity, is kept in front of the Moolavar, and nobody sees the Moolavar unless they are the owners of the temple, and only they are allowed to go inside to see the deity behind the Muruga deity. So nobody knows that. So he asked Bhagavan, who is the deity of that temple? And Bhagavan just looks in and he says so beautifully, if you put a needle behind your third eye and in the frontal lobes, and the point which just get attached, that very point, he can clearly see the visualization of downloading happening. Now science has already caught up and said how the pineal gland is also giving us the visualizations of different possibilities and beyond, and what is abstract to us right now can be really seen in the third eye. Now clearly documented, science is catching up with all these great science. And Bhagavan so beautifully answered that Ardhanarishwarar is the deity, main Moolavar of the temple, and that boy was shocked and literally startled. How did Bhagavan know this? And he said, simply I asked, and humbly surrendering that to the space, it revealed itself. We did not have telescope or microscope to study things. Rather, rishis and munis just humbly surrender, and just whatever the astronomical details or something under the ocean or something that they have to build a technology in stone, anything was just a possibility of humbly surrendering and asking how it should be done, and the whole thing is revealed to them. The revelation is the way we download, and everything now they're saying in science, how everything is available in the space and we can simply tap the intelligence and download. Science is yet to catch up with all these details, but in practical detail. Now Bhagavan is initiating us into this greater possibility that we can simply download when we raise the frequency into the higher space. We are constantly deluded in the lower three chakras, where we are in the fear, greed, incompletion, pain, and all kinds of suffering, where we feel completely stuck. And more we move to the higher chakras, gratitude, oneness, contributing to others' life, and collective integrity. More and more we start seeing the higher frequency, experiencing the higher reality. How the science is also telling us very clear thing that everything that exists in the molecular structure, the atom is 99.9% is space, and there is no matter. Everything is an energy and a frequency. The higher the frequency, the more you are able to connect to the higher frequency. How you have the television connecting to the different frequency, you can also connect to the higher frequency and start living the higher realities, which is consciousness. The higher you are connected to the higher reality, which is consciousness, which takes you to the other dimensions or the lokas, where you experience the higher thinking and higher matured way of existing. And Bhagavan beautifully says that if you drop all sorts of differentiating notions, all the questions from the mind, and which is created from the self-doubt, self-hatred, and self-denial, all the depression, doubts, and boredom and tiredness that we have, when we are ready to let go that, which is just a screen, and if you let go that, we can experience the ultimate oneness, the ultimate reality. Paramashiva is real. Beautifully in the Apta Pramana of how in Ramayana itself was a great epic which was downloaded by Valmiki. Valmiki was a criminal, and he was initiated by the greatest Narada Muni into Mara, and he chanted, and simply a ant hill grew on him. And from the ant hill, he came out. That is why he was reborn as Valmiki. Valmiki means ant hill. And he was reborn, and he narrated the whole Ramayana. And Rama comes down as an avatar. Vishnu comes down as Rama. And such a most beautiful avatar of deep compassion and love for the humanity, the collective consciousness that he lived on planet Earth. And beautifully, he came down as Rama was already narrated by Valmiki. And beautifully here he says, sage Vishwamitra, satisfied by the behavior of Rama, and he teaches him the Ashtra and Shastra. Even as the avatar, they went to the Gurukulam. Bhagavan beautifully says an example of how a gold cannot be directly, a pure gold cannot be made as an ornament. It has to be added with the copper, but after it comes as a gold ornament, the copper is again removed. The alchemy has done, and the copper is removed. Same way, when avatar lands on planet Earth, they come with the human body and a human mind, and the Gurukulam removes that by giving them the real who they are. Bhagavan says his gurus were nothing but the alarm clock to remind him who he came here, who is him, and why he came to the planet Earth. And same way, Rama and Lakshmana learns the greatest science of Ashtra and Shastra from sage Vishwamitra, and downloading everything at an instant and experiencing the greater reality. Any of the avatar, Ramakrishna Paramahamsar, Mahaperiva, Sai Baba, all have demonstrated clearly just Ega Sandagragi, that is learning just in one listening, repeating verbatim. Ega Sandagragi, they were able to just know everything. Mahaperiva is said to talk in 40 languages. Just by one listening, they just can grasp any languages. This is a possibility of a human mind. And again, aligning to the higher consciousness, Bhagavan says, conscious pandemic. If we are living in such an ecosystem of Kailasha, we can just download any of these greater signs in each one of us and experience the greater reality. Bhagavan beautifully speaks on the higher signs and higher reality in Atma Pramana, giving us the powerful cognition.
to the deity of Shiva and Meenakshi. So you should see how I do puja. It will be very funny. Morning I will sit with the deities and I will pour first the water and fall into samadhi. And then I will wake up and put the sandal and fall into samadhi. It will take at least 2 hours for me to complete the puja. I cannot practice puja, of course, because as a tradition I have to do, I am doing. That's different. I cannot practice unclenching. There are many methods and techniques. I cannot do ajapa japa. By the time I repeat the mantra second or third time, already in samadhi. But still I practice some things. That is humble submission. Understand? Then understand the importance of this process. Whether I am not talking about the humble submission, the attitude of imbibing you need to have in front of the Guru. No, that is secondary. I am not even talking about that. Have that attitude with everything. When you look at a building, have that attitude of imbibing. You will imbibe whatever you need to from that. You will be enriched. When you need, that file will come up, a book. Start with that attitude of imbibing. Whatever is your essence, let it be imbibed in me. Let it become part of me. That is why any knowledge, I am not talking out of ego, any knowledge, it can be any complicated, whether it is legal or auditing or HTML code, any knowledge, I can be 100% sure I can imbibe because I know how to imbibe. Go with the attitude of imbibing. Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya. Go with the attitude of humble submission. With anything. If you are going to a new culture, if you are going to a new place, if you are going to a new person, if you are going to a new book, if you are going to a new field, with anything, do not have prejudice. Something, these fellows are wrong, these fellows are right, this book is not right, this thought trend is not right, this philosophy is crime, this philosophy is right. Don't go with that prejudice. Go with that mood of submission, imbibing. I tell you, if you have this attitude of imbibing, even the terrorist philosophy, you will learn something right and good. But with the attitude of arrogance, even if it is the philosophy of enlightenment, you will make it arrogant and egocentric. I have seen people becoming egocentric, reading great Advaitic literatures, and people becoming enlightened, the worst terrorist books. JagatGuru is a flower out of the communist thorns.
Beautifully, Bhagwan gives us the how even if you are from the communist like JagatGuru, you can become a beautiful flower. You can become enlightened when you are in the right context of listening in life. When you are constantly in only judging and questioning and always with a narrative of the mind, you are not going to get even the highest Vedanta philosophy, even delivered by Avatar himself, right at you, right in you. The whole space that we need to hold. Paramashiva is real. Bhagavan beautifully explains by giving an example of how his first healing happened. When he was a small boy running around his yoga guru, and his yoga guru used to perform such phenomenal healing, like people who have taken poison or stung by a snake, or even in a village, if there's a habit of pouring poison in your ears. And what would he do when they bring the body? He would just take a stick, small stick, and touch on the ground and touch the part where the poison has gone in, whether it is your foot or your mouth or ear. He would do that 3 times. And simply the person will get up after that immediately and just walk away out of poison. And he never used to question his guru, just watch in awe that such a beautiful happening in front of him. And that happened many times. And once when his guru was trying to get into the levitation posture and get into the deep samadhi space, and he was in Padmasana and he was in Samana Mudra. He was experiencing the deep samadhi when an old lady came running and said, I had poison by mistake. Can you help me? And his yoga guru said, just smiled at Bhagavan and said, oh, you take care. And that's it. Bhagavan took a stick and he touched the ground and touched the lady's mouth 3 times. And she said, oh, wow, I'm healed. And she was in such a joy and she left. And Bhagavan says, this was my first healing as a child. I understood that all you need is just surrender to the higher guru, who is the signal to you, context to you. And simply I know that when the guru is in samadhi, whatever he says is the truth, nothing but the truth. And if you just take this as your cognition, you will simply manifest any powers. It's not my guru is great, so he is my guru, but Bhagavan says, I feel such a deep connection with my guru. I know I have authority over my guru, so, and he is great, so I manifested the power. So that is the whole click that happened in Balasans, who manifested all these powers. They were able to crack Mensa questions, not just the answers, but they would tell the questions if you tell the page numbers, and demonstrated to all the researchers who came to Kailash Courtyard, and they were awed by seeing the answers, which top like 0.011% of the world population could answer those Mensa question. And these kids just like that playfully answering all that, and they are children of 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. That is possible because they knew that Paramashiva is real. He's sitting in front of me and downloading the whole thing in me. They know that as the physical reality because they feel so connected that Bhagavan is their very own. Bhagavan says, when you feel I am your very own, that is the super click of manifesting powers. Here in Shakshi Pramana, one of the devotees have beautifully said how they downloaded the words for the meaning for these words from Sarvajñatva power. Zari-scaping. It's something to do with agriculture and land and landscaping, and they got it exactly. Those words got downloaded when she wrote the whole thing. Ethology, and she got the branch of zoology and she wrote about something about zoo and all that. See how she is just having the trust that Paramashiva is there. Whatever I want, he will just rush and give me the whole detail. That is the space of the Balasans. Today we'll all experience that oneness space and drop all our questions and be at the Bhagavan's lotus feet to experience the power of Sarvajñatva. The beautiful space that Bhagavan is giving us to make us understand, not just downloading some information, but clearly he is giving us how to manifest the greater science, consciousness as our very reality. And these are workshop might be simple, but profound things happen, shifts in our life as our outer world desires getting fulfilled and our inner space raising to consciousness. Again and again, each one of us have to raise ourselves. It's like each one of us have to sleep and eat. We have to raise by ourselves and by ourselves to the space of oneness with Paramashiva. Through these power manifestation, Bhagavan says every day, that is why it is part of the Charya Pada, doing power manifestation is a tapas. When you understand more and more all these powerful cognition, your body and the mind become so pure to reflect the consciousness, Paramashiva, as your inner space, as subtle grooves get triggered and you manifest huge powers, and also fulfill your inner space as Paramashiva, and your outer space, simply you know Paramashiva is manifesting everything for you, and life starts becoming beautiful, blissful, that everything responds to you as you want. So the simple guidance for this powerful cognition and power manifestation is, if you have a partner, ask them to give an unknown topic to you. It can be astrology, it can be astronomy, it can be something that is verifiable and that is tangible, that you can go back to Google or your partner and get it verified. So you can write 4 or 5 lines on it, whatever gets downloaded. And even now science is clearly saying how the atoms and the molecules and the photons are constantly receiving information, like how the signals that you get for your television, you can tap into any of the channels and you get tons and tons of signals. Same way you can go to Wikipedia, you get tons and tons of information. Same way your brain is much more capable than these just equipments. It can just tap the higher intelligence, and which is in the space, how one cell becomes a human being. Each cell is designed to grasp all the information. If a cell can become a human, your cell has the capability of just downloading any information. Just hold the space. Paramashiva is real, and you can simply download all the information today and experience the oneness with Sarvanitva. Paramashiva himself as Sarvanitva. Beautifully, Muruga's blessing today, Muruga's darshan today of Bhagavan himself coming as Muruga and blessing all of us. Subramanya, the most sweetest space, who is beautiful, manifesting all the greatest signs, all the siddhas and all power manifestation. The ultimate God is Muruga, Subramanya. And just by Subramanya is so easy, Bhagavan says, just by one thought and he will be here manifesting every dimension in you. He's so powerful and so beautiful that simply it happens. All you need to do is bring him to your third eye and go into the deep listening and melt in him. That is all we need to do. And that word Muruga means itself is melting in your throat. The nectar melting in your throat is Muruga. So just by bringing his presence in your third eye, the listening in your third eye, you start melting in oneness with Paramashiva. And simply you're taken into the vertical time zone and the parallel universe where you're already manifesting all the powers. All you need to do is now understand the greater science, who you are, and just download all the information. Now, absolute unclutching from this world, whatever you know, how you go into the deep sleep, you don't bother about your thoughts, your pain, your responsibility, nothing. For a few minutes, you're ready to unclutch. So same way, unclutch from everything. You're sitting with Paramashiva, Muruga, Subramanya in front of you, and he is waiting to manifest in you. What would your space be? Hold that powerful space. You sit with 25 heads and 75 eyes and 50 hands of Muruga, Subramanya, and just download that whole science into you as Sarvanyatva. Intensely chant the Mahavakya, which raises your frequency to the phenomenal space, and entangling with Bhagavan in the oneness space, manifest the powers of Sarvanyatva. Let's start chanting for a few minutes with a deep feeling connection and surrender, getting disappeared into Paramashiva, and with a deep listening, let's start chanting.
Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivam. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashivam overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivam.
Such a beautiful space. Please open your eyes. Whatever Paramashiva has given as prasada, please go ahead and verify in the Google. Authentically verify if the words are matching the description that you have written for the question is matching the details. And if your partner is giving, please call the partner and give them the detail what has been downloaded in you as a prasada. By doing all these powers, what is that we are gaining in the outer world? Again and again, when you are going to the superconscious space, your prefrontal cortex is becoming so vibrant, it attracts all the auspiciousness and abundance. How does it work? The more you are in the lower three chakras, you are put in delusion more and more, which is continuously beaten to the real very bad extents. But the more and more you are raised to the higher conscious, your third eye, your heart chakra, you can start seeing the higher realities, like how you would be searching a car in a parking lot. And if you can't find it, if you look at it from the top floor, 10th floor, you can just spot it. Same way, how a PhD thesis would be very easy for a professor, but a child of 5th grade, it would be very difficult. All the perception is only the difference. If you understand you are consciousness, you are infinite energy, you are sarvanyatva, self-effulgent, omniscience, omnipresent. Now science is catching up with all these words and making it reality. Even in science, we should be understanding that even as science, what we believe in also is giving us that we can tap into any intelligence just by connecting. The only thing they don't have is a missing link, the signal. And Paramashiva is the ultimate initiation, is our signal. And the minute he says, we can manifest all these powers, and simply it downloads in us. How Bhagwan healed the old lady, just because he had a simple integrity with his Guru, that he knows when his Guru says, it has to become real. When Arjuna was with Krishna, Krishna says, look at the blue crow. Simply he looked at the crow and it was blue. If you say the same thing to a small child of 2 years, even you can try. Look at the blue crow and clap. The kid will clap because it will see it as a blue crow, because it is ready to absorb anything from the outer world as information. Being in that space with your Guru is the ultimate gift for you. Surrendering to that space, that Paramashiva is real. If that becomes your very signal, that is consciousness, Paramashiva, the ultimate, he can download any information into you. You become the receiver for all the information in the world. You become Sarvanyatva. This is the science Bhagavan has given to the Balasans in Gurukul. Same thing. And that is how they have demonstrated even on the stage of just coming with unknown question, unknown subject, 40 to 60% they were able to crack it. It is not a joke when you don't know a subject and you are answering 40 to 60%, and not just one kid, 10 kids on the stage. So this great science is real, and it is quite possible for each one of us when we stop asking the questions and drop all our identities and surrender to see what happens, what is the other side of the whole equation. When we experience, then we can go back to the questions, and because we know the answer now, because experientially I have experienced that greater science. Each time you experience, Bhagavan says, a powerful cognition, when you experience, your molecular structure in the brain changes, shifts. And each word you are listening to all these higher truth. And if you're here, be very clear, you did not come by accident. It was a blessing for 8.4 million species and 8 billion people. Why are you chosen to be here? That is the grace that you have been given for being here to manifest the greatest reality. And Bhagavan says, do Anga Pratakshina to yourself. That means you go around yourself and thank yourself for being here at this moment and receiving all this greater science into you. And few minutes, we'll have one more cycle. Be blessed, be powerful, be Paramashiva, and simply download whatever Paramashiva shows into your physical reality. Hold that space, my Paramashiva, my Guru. He is all-knowing and he is downloading in me, as whenever I ask, he would just support me and give it. All the kids write exams like that only. And they get phenomenal marks. Sometimes they don't even write exam, they get the certificate. All this happens because the feeling of oneness and connection the Balasans have. All you need to get is that space of Paramashiva is real, consciousness is real. I will stand by that and I can manifest anything in my life. Hold that very strongly. The persistence becomes power, Bhagavan says. Let's have one more cycle of manifesting the power of Sarvanyatva. Put away your gadgets for a few minutes if you've written the questions. And let's start the cycle 2 with deeply getting connected to Paramashiva in the oneness space. Let's go into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi by chanting the Mahavakya intensely. The Achapa Japa has the power. The power of sound is phenomenal. So when you raise your frequency by chanting, Ajaba Japa means you don't use your tongue to chant, but you chant without the tongue, the moving of the tongue through your inner voice, and you have a deep listening to the chanting without getting distracted by your narration of your thoughts. Thoughts itself is not thinking, Bhagavan says. Only the narration of the whole thought, that is the emotional attachment, the cognitions which keep on coming up. Drop everything, unclutch from everything, hold only Paramashiva Mahavakya and deep listening to Paramashiva, surrendering your space, disappearing into Paramashiva's, the whole nectar that you can experience as oneness. Let's start chanting to manifest the power of Sarvanyatva.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Paramashivam, Paramashivam. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivam.